The South Lawn of the White House is being transformed right now as we speak, ahead of a truly one-of-a-kind event coming in less than 2 weeks. To celebrate America's 250th birthday, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, as you see right here, it's on the other side there on the South Lawn. They're going to host a stacked fight card just steps from the Oval Office as the best mixed martial artists in the world compete in the octagon for a massive night of action, celebrating freedom and American excellence. And that defines my next guest. He's a rising superstar in the sport. And he's going to be squaring up against Kyle Daukaus at the White House for UFC Freedom 250. Let's welcome in MMA fighter Bo Nickal. Bo, you're a great friend. I appreciate you coming in. When we went to dinner recently, I felt very, very safe.
Of course. All my friends are safe with me.
Right, there you go. You've had an impressive career already, but to be included in this one-of-a-kind event right outside the White House, or right at the White House, in front of President Trump and thousands of patriotic Americans, how does it feel? I imagine you're bursting with some patriotism right now.
Of course, it's such a massive honor, and it still, honestly, at this point, feels surreal. I think it'll start to really set in when I get to D.C. and kind of get to see, what they have set up and everything. But yeah, it's such a big honor, especially to be competing in front of, the military and our troops. That's just going to be an amazing event overall, and grateful to be a part of it.
I get it. And yet some people are not so excited about this big UFC event. The Reverend Al Sharpton, as you may have heard, took offense and even likened fighters like you to slaves. Let's listen to this and I'll get your reaction.
When we're dealing with this redistricting, Trump and others are trying to bring us back to an America that we struggle to get out of. So there is a connection of why they're having these fights on the White House lawn, the UFO and all the whatever they call it, UFC, and all that, because they're trying to go back to that when they'd watch people have these fights for the slave masters and they'd be entertained by that. They're literally going back to that.
You can't even get the name right. UFO, UFC, whatever they call it. Do you feel like a slave?
Oh, man. No, absolutely not. I mean, it's pretty out of touch, to say the least, to compare somebody that has dedicated their whole life to, a craft like fighting to, and this honor of being able to compete in our nation's capital at the White House. So, honestly, I just kind of have to laugh at it because it's so out of touch. But yeah, I mean, we're obviously competing on our own free will and making, substantial financial rewards for it. So, I think it's obviously extremely out of touch, but just got to laugh at it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, the Trump derangement syndrome is real. Let's talk about something serious, which is your training regimen. You've told me a little bit about it off the air, but give people a sense of what it's like to train, because this is not just show business. Like, you've got to prepare. What have you been up to? How do you get ready for something big like this?
I mean, for me, it's started at 5 years old with wrestling, and I feel like I've been competing my whole life at a high level. And, you really have to dedicate yourself in mind, body, and spirit to, your craft and really pursuing excellence. So for me, that's what it's all about. It's every day waking up, putting in the work, being consistent. Of course, what that actually looks like is hours and hours in the gym, hours spending film studying, talking with my coaches, going over techniques. And I really dedicate my entire life to this. So it's not a hobby. It's not something you do part-time. You have to be fully committed to compete at the highest level in something like what I do.
Yeah, well, the rest of us can't keep up with you in the ring or the octagon, but whether we go out and play golf or tennis, we get little injuries. You've got a recovery lotion. What can that do for people who in their everyday lives are trying to just get by?
Yeah, so, for me, I've always been entrepreneurial since a young kid. And so, now with the platform that I have through the UFC, I'm able to, create products. And one that I'm most excited about is 2717 Recovery. It's full of natural ingredients and a copper peptide that's going to help with inflammation. And it's going to, heal those nagging injuries that you have.
Right.
Of course, myself, it's something I'm using every day. So, I feel confident to recommend it to everybody that's having, bumps, bruises, things like this to fix.
Well, if it's going to help a UFO fighter or a UFC fighter, I'm sure it could help the rest of us. Bo Nickal, you're a great patriot. Good luck there in the octagon.
Thanks, Ed.
June 14th. Thank you, sir.